That's right, I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knicks family. Welcome to the Knicks Recap and Reaction Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, joined by a new member of the family, Knick Nation, who's been with us for a while. He rocking with me this morning. We're going to talk about the Knicks, which I think was a significant victory versus the Los Angeles Lakers at home, 112-100. I thought this would be another test of the Knicks' newfound defense, whether it was for real or not, and it's legit. There'll be other tests this upcoming week, and we'll talk about that. But I was really impressed with the defense, particularly in the fourth quarter. Little rough start, in my opinion, defensively, but they did get it together. Anyway, Knick Nation, just your overall view of the game before we get into it in depth.
Definitely. Good morning, everybody out there in the chat world as well. I'll say this. I was elated. Is that the word? Because I know I've mentioned it on quite a few other shows. In the Knicks, Twitter world, the Knicks Nation world out there, I have a very strong disdain for the Lakers because they possess LeBron James. That win was extra special to me. I haven't even gotten a chance to even say anything to my sister because she probably won't talk to me for 2 weeks after I say, hey, how we slapped them around. So let me just say I was elated. I thought the overall team grind together, was outstanding. I thought to say of our number one, 1A, 1B, whatever you guys want to call it, number 2, down to Cat, not having enough numbers as far and for us to do what we did, outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah, it definitely was. You're breaking up a little.
I'm breaking up there.
I know y'all had a little snow down.
You want me to come in and go out?
Like
yeah, definitely. It is.
You know what that is? Everything. If you live in the South, you get 1 inch of snow. Everything.
Everything's a problem. Yeah, I'm sorry too.
You seem to be okay. You seem to be okay right now.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I shout out to the chat. By the way, Andrew K, really good to see you. Kerry Cox, appreciate you as well. The replay gang and obviously the silent listeners. So let's just go. Jabroni walked into the house. Salute. So let's just kind of, start with who or what may have stood out for you in the game. I'll let you start, and I'll piggyback off of that if I have anything to add.
Oh, definitely. What stood out to me in the game, like I say, for both our stars to have a combined of 23 points, but in every other area, they were outstanding. Not scoring wise, but overall game wise. There you could say pretty good game in that sense, because we're looking at, what was it together? I think they had 19 or 20 rebounds together, names together, and I think between 17 assists.
I think you are skipping. You might need to go out and come.
I'm gonna go out and come back in. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'll go.
I'll just add to your point, and then you can continue it.
Yep.
Yeah. So the point he was making was how Jalen Brunson didn't have his usual scoring game. Cat, who hasn't scored 20 points, I believe, in the last 4 games. So his scoring has been down of late, but yet they found other ways to impact winning. Cat with 13 rebounds, and he leads the league in rebound, and he's been rebounding well of late. I think 20 plus rebounds in his past 2 games. Jalen Brunson, they did a good job in how they guarded him. They played zone. They made it their business to try to limit his effectiveness. And to his credit, he didn't force it, right? He found a different way to impact the game. He still used his gravity because they still have to pay attention to him. And when they did, instead of taking the shot, he found the open guy. And last night, at least, those shots was going down. And it's easier to go down when they're wide open. And so that's what the Knicks were getting, wide open shots off of his gravity. And he used it. So kudos to him. Cat with, with 4 assists. We'll get into Cat a little later, but the main point was the other guys stepped up, and Brunson and Cat found a way to impact winning despite scoring. Go ahead, Nick Nation.
Okay, I don't know if can you hear me any better now?
I can.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. Where were we at now?
No, I was just piggybacking off of your point. You can continue it about the others stepping up in the absence of JB and Cat scoring.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean? To have still a combined game and an overall score, and for the team to still, do well. Like I say, when our wings play well, I don't think it matters much of else, because I think they draw so much attention off of the guys when it doesn't matter. Seem to be unstoppable.
Yeah,
It
I
looks
think
like
the
all of
same.
our last 6 games, pretty much, those guys have to listen. It's still happening?
It's still happening. You're okay right now.
I'm still cutting in and out. I'm gonna reboot. I'm gonna reboot. I'll come back in, come back out. I'll reboot.
Okay. All right. All right. Sounds good. All right. All right. So what I will do is I will just talk about who and what stood out for me last night. And then when Nick Nation gets back, he can, make his points. I'll update him, and then he can piggyback off of that if he would like. I want to start with the defense. I really want to start with the defense. Remember the last show, I was saying, listen, we're going to get a chance to see what the Knicks defense is really like, starting with this Lakers game. And then next week, we got Denver, we have Detroit, we have Boston, all really good teams. But I thought the Knicks did a really good job defensively last night. Not so much in the first quarter. I thought they were over rotating. I didn't think they were disciplined at all. I think it was better in the second and third quarter. And I thought in the fourth quarter, they were really communicating. And the most important thing, staying home. Like these over rotations, like just automatically double teaming before the player even, as soon as they catch the ball, I thought that was a bit too much. You didn't see that in the fourth quarter. Very disciplined with the game plan. Mike Brown in his press conference said overall they've simplified things defensively. So it makes it easier for them to know what to do, and it also makes it easier because they know where the help is coming from. So that definitely helps with the defense. But I also think personnel matters. Like last night, Mike Brown closed with Robinson. It wasn't the first time. He's done that a few games. Once because of foul trouble, but the game after that, it was just choice. And so we can talk about simplifying game plan, helping the defense. We can talk about communication, helping the defense. We could talk about buying in, helping the defense. But personnel matters, right? And having the personnel that could execute those schemes, it matters. And Mike Brown, I think, has been doing a better job of mixing in these defensive minded lineups, kind of shielding Cat and Brunson, so to speak, when they're out there by themselves with defensive minded players around them. Clarkson is out of the rotation, and I think that's the reason why. Just defensively. Um, unless something else is going on that I don't know about. Kolek is another one who fights on defense as well. So that's what stood out for me. And I think the Knicks are first or second in defensive rating over the past 10 games. And they're also top 5 in offensive field goal percentage, opponent field goal percentage, excuse me, and opponent 3-point percentage. Now, some of that is the teams that they've played, don't get me wrong, but a big part of it is the Knicks defense and how much better it's gotten. So that was something that stood out for me. And this was a team with Luka and LeBron. You could say LeBron is 100 years old, but he's still, he could still score the ball. So yeah, kudos to the Knicks as far as their defense is concerned, and kudos to Mike Brown for closing with Robinson over Cat, simplifying the defense as well. I do want to talk about Brunson again. 37 minutes, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 13 assists, a steal, only 1 turnover. Shot 26.7% from the field, 4 for 15, 2 for 6 from 3, 33.3%. I thought his process was really, really good. Not forcing it, not getting into getting into one-on-one battles, nothing to prove, just going out there and making the right play. What do we need right now? How is the defense playing me right now? How can I get a good shot for someone else if I don't have it myself? He only had 7 points in the second quarter, but like I said earlier, just used his gravity to create for others. All right, Nick Nation is back. Let's bring him in. All right.
All right, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Pretty much the same thing. I talked about the defense and a little bit more on Brunson. So yeah, you could piggyback off of any of those points.
Oh, yeah, the defense. That I thought has really, as we've talked about it, quite other times, that the defense is really beginning to, where we're hanging our hat at. The emphasis has been, as you can see, on defense. Like you've said before, we are number 1 in the last 8, 9, 10 games here.
Games, yeah.
So that to me is really beginning to start to really formulate, particularly missing the last 4 games, no Deuce. So that to me tells me that meeting, those guys, they've talked about it. They've made it an emphasis on it. The coaching staff is, they've bought in. I think they finally have bought in. And I thought to say like these, especially, I'm holding my breath here, particularly on this Washington game, because I want to make sure that we're at that point where these mental lapses go away. And no matter what, if our offense isn't swinging, that we can hang our hat on defense and still win the game. That I thought was so important. I thought that, to me, even over the Cup, I found that to be their best game of the year, balance-wise. That's just how I felt about it. And maybe it's because LeBron James was in there, it felt a little bit better. But I definitely like that part. So I'm still so ecstatic and happy about that part. I'm like a 10-year-old right today. But that part I thought was really good, is that you could just see schematically as well, too. Whenever there's a screen, whenever there was any kind of point, if they even moved to the pick and roll, you can see how they would jump out at the point, even on Luka, even on LeBron, where they didn't allow them a lot of times to get downhill. So those guys eventually started settling for more jump shots, which definitely helped us, because that team typically gets downhill a lot. That helped us. So that, I thought things like that, those little details like that, changed a lot in the game.
Yeah, Mike Brown talked about in his press conference that not so much in the first half, but in the second half, there was much more game plan discipline. And you could see it, because in the first quarter, I was like, the Knicks defense is not great. The Lakers are just missing shots. But you could tell the difference in the second half. Very disciplined on their rotations. Didn't look like too many players were out of plays, taking too many chances. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, there wasn't a lot of those moments. And in the fourth quarter, I thought they did really, really good. I think it was in the third or the fourth quarter, they only had like 18 points. The Lakers that was. So yeah, I thought the defense is good, and let's see the different teams we play who have different styles, and to see them play good defense against different teams, different styles, will give me even more confidence in the defense. But so far, so good. Really, really happy to see that. The offense over that time is not top 10. I think we're like 13, 14. However, there's been some clunkers over the last 10 games or so offensively, but of late, the Knicks offense is looking well also in terms of player movement, ball movement, getting into the key, hitting the open guys. They're knocking down shots. So once you put both of those together, a free-flowing offense, really good defense, I think the Knicks are trending toward being a really good team, a little different than at least what I thought to start the season, that they were going to be this juggernaut offensive team. I just don't think they're going to be good. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to be how they looked that first, what was it, 15, 20 games. I said, whoa, like this team, OG was playing great. Kel was playing like I was like, wow, this is probably going to be like a historic offense. I don't think that anymore, because I just think for us to have the defense that we have, we're going to have to switch those lineups up a little bit, which is fine. And I also think that I still have my questions about the Knicks playing at their offensive ceiling, even with those optimized offensive lineups. I just have some issues with their process. But anyway, where do you want to go next?
I tell you this, though, I'll take it. Our offense lowering, if we can stay at number one, continuing moving forward, I'll take it any day that we lower us down to 10, 12, 14, wherever it is, if we could just keep hanging our hat on defense. Because I think it just overall toughens us up and gets us prepared for, you know what I mean? Because that's ultimately we won a championship. And I think if we can still, you know what I mean? I think that any of these guys can turn their offense on pretty quickly. It's the defense from Jump Street we know that just wasn't really there. Even though we were winning early on, we know a lot of times that wasn't sustainable. To really sustain 120, you know, that wasn't our teams. We've been, even with Tibbs at times, you know, where we would hold teams to say 110, you know what I mean, or 109, and we 111, 111. I can hang my hat on that, because at certain points of times, you need to be able to get stops. Now that this team is starting to realize that they can focus more on defense and, you know, not have to jack up 53 pointers, that mentality is, you know what I mean, more. Yeah,
they still put up 40.
Yeah, which is still a bit, but as far as still, you know, really framing their mind on defense, just, you know what I mean, that to me, I know I keep harping on it, but it's really changed everything to me. I think if our mentality would have said, hey, we're still going to focus more on offensive and trying to jack up scores, I think we would still be losing, because I think we would still then turn around and start still at certain points giving up 132 to bum teams. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. Those are great points. This is the one caveat I would add to that. I do agree that the Knicks need to focus more on defense, and the defense needs to get better, and it has gotten better. I am not a believer of a number one defense and a number 16, 17 offense, because we've been there. Like, we've been there when we first went to the playoffs with Randall and whoever it was, where our defense was great. And I've seen even other teams as well, where their defense is like top 5, but they can't score. They can't score the basketball. So yeah, I do want the Knicks to have a really good defense. If that's top 10, that's fine. But you cannot have a bottom 12, a bottom 10 offense, because in the playoffs, you're just not going to be able to hold these teams down. You're just not going to be able to hold them down. You have to be able to score, because their defense is going to get better as well. And if you can't score the ball, or it's difficult for you to score the ball. So I'm looking at both, quite honestly. I'm looking at the Knicks, trending up defensively, which they are. And to Nick Yak's point, the offense not dropping to 15, 16, 17. You really do have to figure out that balance. If you look at Detroit, you look at Boston, these teams are top 10 in both categories, except for Denver. Like Denver is a better offensive team than defensive team on the season. But even them defensively over the past 10 games, their defense is ratcheted up. So I just want the Knicks to find that balance between defending and scoring, because you're going to need both. You're going to need both in the playoffs. And I'm really hoping that the OG that we're seeing now, I'm going to move on to OG. And you could definitely piggyback off of the defense. I want to move on to OG. For the Knicks to be successful in the playoffs, the wings are going to have to be like Brunson and Cat. I don't think it's going to be enough. Like we're going to need support from those two guys. And of late, OG has been somewhat enigmatic on the offensive end, where he'll have stretches where he's like, wow, like he's crossed over. He's this two-way player. Then he'll have some inconsistent games, and then he's back. Right, the past few games where he's really aggressive, attacking the rim, hitting his 3-point shots, creating, off the dribble. You just don't know if this is, how long is this going to last? But last night in particular, and then I'll hand it over to you, he led the team in scoring, really stepped up with Brunson and Cat not shooting well, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 or 3 steals. 7 of his 25 points was in that third quarter during a critical run where the Knicks took the lead and never relinquished it, actually. And you get to see glimpses of what OG can be, like a two-way monster. I just don't know if he can maintain that level. He could go there for stretches. I'm just not sure he can live there. Because if he could live there, this is a totally different team.
I definitely, I agree 100%, definitely with OG, but I'll expand it to the 3 of them. And what I mean by the 3 of them is Hart as well as Mikal. I thought all 3 of them, whenever we get in a combined score, which I chose even yesterday on the KRT show, was 56 points combined score with those guys. They were 55. I say anywhere for usually from 56 points to 60. When those guys combine at that score, we're just unstoppable. OG, I think he can keep this up. And the reason why I'm going to say I think he can keep it up is because, like even yesterday, I think if I look correctly, he still only played 34 minutes. So if he's getting, the way that right now that he's setting them up and giving them their rest periods, in between even the first quarter, and then sometimes brings them back in. Whereas a lot of times once a guy goes, out in the first quarter point, he sits them down closer to the second. But the way that he's rifling them in and peppering like Diawara in for a few minutes, just to give these guys that quick blow, that Shamet coming in, just to give these guys that quick blow and offsetting these minutes, I think he can still hold on. I think that this is a formula that can work moving forward. To look at it like in an overall sense of it is, if these wings, I'm not going to minute police it, but we can see the results point once it's up and going. As long as OG doesn't go down again, and it has to, because it seems like once he goes down, that ramping up takes, 8, 10, games for him sometime. And that's the part where if he can avoid that, I think this is sustainable. And as long as we can keep them clean, it's sustainable.
So you think OG's up and down offensive season is due to his workload?
Injury. Because it looks like both those times when he went down for a bit, he ramped up. he got there, it was sustainable. But it's like once he sometimes gets those injuries, then, and it's not like the Knicks sometimes too are that forthcoming, especially about the injury game. This is a very tight-lipped, they're not into the, open source of information. So, but
Yeah.
as long as he's healthy, I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. From your lips to God's ears. I'm not
Yeah.
a believer in OG right now. And I was the biggest believer, if you remember. Well, you might not have been
Yes.
watching. I came out the
No, I
gate
know.
about OG being a two-way player, what have you. I'm not a believer that he's gonna live there, but I do believe he can have these stretches. And I really hope I'm wrong. Because if he can live here, the Knicks are definitely a different team. Rebuild New York. If everyone is aggressive, this team is really good. Don't trust them to always be aggressive. Exactly. I mean, look at Mikal Bridges. He had this great game and his confessional two games ago. And I'm not just talking about, poor shooting, but then he just went back to being, I don't know, again, playing within the flow of the game. It could have just been that's just the way the game went, and so he just went with it. This is Mikal. This is Mikal, and it's fine. And
Yeah.
and it's fine. This is him. He's going to play within the flow of the game. He's going to play the right way as he understands it. And if the shot comes to him, he's going to take it, but he's not going to force anything. But last night, Shamet stepped up. We'll talk about him. OG stepped up. Hart stepped up. So it wasn't really that, it wasn't really that big of a deal. Where do you want to go next?
I thought I still like to mention like guys like Kolick, guys like Diawara, because I don't want to underestimate what he's doing by bringing those guys in and getting some point of production from them. Because we're getting, as you know, no production really out of our two main free agents. And without our, that was something that we counted on. And to be able to turn the corner and get things going with these young guys, to me, it may seem like their contribution is small, but if you're watching the momentum and the eye test of the game, you see that those guys are really standing in and giving these guys a blow for a few minutes to recoup themselves and not blowing leads, totally. I'm not going to say how Diawara came in yesterday. He was a little too foul happy, which then pushed us into penalties so fast. I think that's why he got snatched out and didn't get for so many minutes. But the temperament of the game, that for them to come in at times and hold the fort and sometimes even help us advance and go more into the plus, I just think it's huge, because it's really such a disappointment from the free agency point of the two guys that we got. And yeah, Leon needs to be held accountable for that point. And hopefully at some point of a process, he can make up for that, because this is really, when we really get to the bottom line of it, this is really last year's team. So what we've done in free agency has done very little, to help us in that sense. Early on, Clarkson did help us. And, but for some reason, he's fallen off the board. A lot of us know it's the constitute point of where his defensive level is. But, right now, in the last, 10 games or so, we've had almost nothing from those free agents. So I think we've done a great job in that sense. And as much as we want to kick Brown, I still got to give him his props, him and the staff. I still got to give props for developing this young point of a talent to hold the fort for us.
Yeah, I thought Kolick was really, really good last night. Really aggressive, hit some big shots for us. Got players, open looks, pass players, into shots. I thought he was really good last night. I will say this: Brown plays them when they're injured. That's it. Brown plays them. Mike Brown plays them when we have injuries, and kudos for them that when they get that opportunity, they come in and they give us positive minutes. And I think your point is really good that sometimes a player may not score, um, but as long as he's not doing anything to really hurt the team, they are giving that starter some more minutes to rest. And I don't think that's looked at. I don't think that's looked at enough. So kudos for them when they do get that opportunity. They come in and they give us positive minutes. When McBride comes back, let's see. Let's see what happens if any one of them remain, in the rotation. So kudos to them. I do want to talk about Shamit. Shamit last night was our second leading scorer with 23 points. He could be a bit erratic for me, shooting wise, from game to game, but of late, the shooting has been a bit more consistent, driving to the basket, some pull up, some mid range shots, really good defense. Brown was asked about him because Brown spoke highly of him before the season even started, and he said it's because he watched tape of him, and he just figured that he would be good in the system. I'm paraphrasing, and he has been, since he's returned. The shot is getting more consistent. He's hitting big shots for us. They're looking for him. They're moving the ball. Like that helps too. That helps shooters as well when you're getting wide open looks off of that extra pass as opposed to slightly contested looks, right? So the Knicks ball movement is helping. The Knicks touching the paint, and as Mike Brown likes to say, spraying it out. That gives you wide open looks. So you're gonna have a better chance of knocking it down. So the Knicks offensive flow has really helped the shooters as well. So just kudos to Shamit. Listen, the Knicks, McBride has been out for 3 games, and when he comes back, he'll help us even more. But the Knicks have been able, in his absence, to kind of stick Shamit in there, and the Knicks have been good. The Knicks have been good. So, shout out to him.
Oh yeah, I liked when I'll just say all of our guards in that sense, not getting run over. And that's made a huge difference as well. Because these guys, let's be honest, Kolek fought last night, because these guys were like, say, targeting him. Brunson, the same thing. These guys, I think when our point guards are not just getting run over, it definitely makes a huge difference as far as on our defense. Because a lot of times is what they were doing is just pushing us down, barbecue chicken, catching them in the wing, boom, barbecue chicken. But Kolek fought last night, so did Brunson. And that, to me, makes a huge point of a difference. And along with Cat not contributing overly in offensive fouls and things like that, I think those little improvements, may have shaved the score here, 4 points here, another 4 points here, And I think it's those little details that we have tuned up on that have really, pushed this team forward. If we can keep on that and refine that, because it looks like it hasn't been like huge adjustments. It's just been small things. I think these little small things are getting cleaned up in real time. And then we're seeing the difference calculating right there in front of us. So I can't keep giving Brown and them, we were on their heads, but somehow between the players, between that meeting, between the coaches staying consistent, the formula seems like it's coming back. With that point in saying, I'm gonna slow down a little bit because I'm getting excited. You know what I mean? These six wins. Woo, that's it. It's like cocaine for me. 6 wins.
Yeah, I'm not so happy about the 6 wins. I'm more happy about the win versus Philly and the win versus the Lakers. Toronto as well. Like the good wins is the ones that have me like really excited. I do want to bring up this point before we move off of Shamit. Nick Yak, you can't average 43% threes and be called a rat. Yeah, you can, because last night he shot 60% from 3. And then there's been games where he'll shoot 20% from 3. So that's what I mean by erratic. The average is 43.3%, but from game to game, it's not a consistent percentage. So yes, he has been erratic, right? Last night was a case in point. Overall, he's a good 3-point shooter. That was the criticism I had of Deuce as well. One game, he's 20%. Another game, he's 70%. But then he turned the corner, right? And so now you're going to get at least 36%, for Deuce night in and night out. And I don't think that's a lot to ask from Shamet that the swings are not so big from game to game. All right, before we get to the chat, I do want to shout out Kat. He was voted as an all-star reserve. I know there may be some in the fan base that felt it should have went to OG, that, he didn't deserve it. But I feel like the coaches know basketball, and the coaches understand that there are things that go into winning other than scoring points, and that they see Kat doing the other things. Like, we see him game in and game out, and we're frustrated with the offensive fouls, and we're frustrated with, at least I am, with him being so loose with the ball. He was stronger with the ball last night. But, they're looking at schemes, and they're looking at how the Knicks play, and you're not getting that spacing. You're not playing the way you're playing on offense without having somebody like Kat that creates problems with his gravity, even if he's not scoring the ball the way he can, and and his rebounding, leading the league. They know he's not a defensive player. He never was. So I don't think they're holding that against him at all. But congrats to him. He's been keeping the fouls down the last few games. His energy and he's always been engaged. So I do like that about him. The shots are not going down. The fans are down on him, but he still shows up, and he's still engaged. And 13 rebounds again last night, leading the league in double doubles, leading the league in rebounds. Last night, even Mike Brown was arguing a call that he didn't get. I was like, wow. Oh wow. Everything is turning around for the New York Knicks.
Yes.
So,
full circle.
Yeah. 4 assists last night. He hasn't scored 20 points, I think, in the last 4 or 5 games, but he's still in there impacting winning. So congratulations to him. I think you could have made an argument for OG as well.
Oh, without a doubt. Like we say, we've all been even discussing this, as we know who got him, who got Kat in there. And congratulations to David Smith for getting Kat for the All-Star game. I want to congratulate him specifically, because we all know that he's put in 1 million or 2 votes. You know what I mean? He's willing to have the FBI chase him and everything. But hey, we love his energy. So that's where we'll keep it with that. But hey, I think Kat has bought into, I think he's beginning to buy into what Brown is selling. And Brown is selling sacrifice. So if you could keep on that point of saying, hey, because the results are coming in. It's hard to say when you're sacrificing and then all of a sudden you don't see the results. But now that the point that that's the real turn of the corner, I believe, is when you get people to buy into the sacrifice, and that sacrifice, then they're seeing what that crop is actually sowing. So as long as that we can keep doing that, and he can learn from, to understand that, hey, these people might be right. If I don't give 4 or 5, 3 offensive fouls a game, all of a sudden, those are more baskets that we get to attempt, because those are basically fouls and turnovers. So I think he's beginning to buy in to the sacrifice. I believe too, at times, Brunson is learning the same thing, that, hey, maybe I can survive more off ball. Maybe me being just a double agent in a sense is saying, yeah, I'm not going to do this or do that, but yeah, I will. So it's things like that. I think that, those sacrifices are beginning to actually see, their crops, really pulling in, and that guys are buying in. So let's see how far we can continue with this. I just think at the end of the year, with that, that's adversity. That's real adversity and seeing it in real time. So.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I do think Brunson has to pick his spots though. Like he can't just turn into Halliburton on this team. But you got to read the game, and I thought he did a good job reading the game last night. They were really keen on him, and he didn't have it. He didn't force it like we talked about. So yeah, good for him.
The zone.
The zone, right? They played zone. Hart, 36 minutes, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 8 of 11 from the field overall, 3 of 4 from 3. His 3-point shooting has been really, really good. Less hesitation the last few games, even some off the dribble. Whenever he's at the top of the key with the shot clock running down, I'm like, oh boy. But he's been hitting them. And Robinson didn't score last night. 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. He did close the game for the Knicks. And kudos to Mike Brown for what do we need right now? Do we need offense? Do we need defense? And talked about that lineup versatility that he had coming into the season, and he's taken advantage of it. 15 lead changes last night. Knicks was plus 12 in that critical third quarter where they took the lead for good. 30 assists last night. 16 fast break points to the Lakers 7. And the usual, they took 7 more shots, which always helps when you can get more opportunities at the basket. And I believe only 10 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. So impressive game. The Toronto game was impressive, and the game last night was impressive as well. Anything else before we move to the chat?
No, I just thought that the fascination point was that both coaches, the adjustments that they made, I just thought that was a real boxer's, thing last night, where one countered with, a zone, one that made the adjustments to say, hey, make sure we pass over the zone, or, what I mean, and things like that, the back screens, the certain other little things that they were doing. So I thought that was very interesting last night to watch, a real fight to say, yeah, I'm going to punch and I'm going to counter punch with that. And to see it in real time. That's where to me too, that is a real difference. And it's something that a lot of us called for, was we're beginning to see the disparaging differences in ways of Tibbs and Brown, because Tibbs, unfortunately, I would believe is that Tibbs would have said, no, we're still going to push forward with this. And then maybe the next game or so, he would have tame things around a little bit. Brown, as you can see, from 1 point in the first half to the second half, or even in the first minute or so in the game, it was what, 6-6? Timeout.
Right. Y'all not doing
Timeout. Y'all on that bullshit. Excuse my French, but y'all on that BS. Bring it in. Let's tighten that up right goddamn now. And then to me, it's things like that when you see it, right then and there, you go, yeah. Let's play some basketball. So those are little things like that too. So,
all right, let's get to the chat, starting with Paris Duggar and the super chat. 1 second. I know I can't see. Let me get this up. All right. Paris Duggar, OG needs to earn his money. This should be expected of OG. It's not wow at that salary. Diawara and Kolick are wow. Love seeing Cat and JB are playing small ball. Yeah, I hear you. I just don't think you can. They didn't sign OG to be a great offensive player. I think if he does become that, I think that's great for him. I'm hoping that this is him, but I don't think, are we going to pay him this much money for him to be this elite 2-way player? It just had, they kind of knew who OG was. This might be a surprise even for them. Might be. All right. Hello. Appreciate you. Salute to David Smith. I appreciate you. Darlene Bryant, great team win last night. Yes, it was. Okay. Kim Doc, OG has been sensational. Even though Mikel's shot wasn't falling, he was awesome at the rim. Okay. Nick Yak only giving up 100 again. Andrew K, OG looked so fresh last night. Well rested. Jambroni, this team is not athletic enough or quick enough to be so switch or double heavy. Keeping the defense, I believe, simple is what he meant to say, has helped a lot. Mike Brown did talk about simplifying things on the defensive end. Even before the streak, the defense was trending upward. If we stay at this level till the All-Star break, I'll be convinced that we can do that the remainder of the season. I really hope that you're right. Leon Mitchell, I appreciate you rocking with us. Don't get too crazy. This is still a deeply flawed, bad team. Wow. Deeply? I mean, that they can improve in some areas, and you wonder if they want to get a little more athletic before the trade deadline. Do they want to get a little taller at the trade deadline? I think that would help them. Deeply flawed might be a bit too strong for me, but if you're saying they can stand some improvements, I wouldn't disagree with that. Okay. East Blue Drew, how you like the kids last night? Kolek was a true floor general. He played very well last night. Loved it. Okay. Nick Yak, our defense got better more than our offense has slowed up. Well, the offense went from 3 to 14. The defense went from 23 to 1. So yeah. You want to say that? Yeah.
6'7".
Okay. Rebuild NYK have to shoot the threes even if the defense is good. You gotta have an NBA offense. Okay. David Smith, Cat leads the league in double doubles with 33 this year and is the NBA leader and rebounder. That he is. David Smith, proud of Brunson for moving the ball, taking less shots, and having 13 assists. Yes, he did.
Look at that. Look at David Smith giving Brunson a compliment.
Right. Well, he only gives him a compliment if he passes the ball. There's going to be times Brunson is going to need to score too, David Smith.
You see when the pig is flying by, you be like, oh, look at that.
Oh, boy. Let's see. I like Shamit is a will to shoot. No hesitation. Yeah. Kim Doc, our guys have to get used to the physical demands of locking in defensively while also cutting and moving on offense. I think we'll get there. I think so too.
Yeah, very good point.
Size 9 finally beat LeBron. Seems like forever since we beat him. Oh boy. Nick Yak, they showed in slow motion, Cat getting mugged. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Bob Solo told y'all OG looks like the third All-Star. He looked really good. He's looking really good of late. You know. Andrew K. Shamit even played Luka tough when he was on him. Glad the defense has stepped up. It's a wonderful thing to see. He's what, 6'4". He could play a little bigger. He can play a little bigger than his size because he is physical. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. East Blue Drew. OG averaged 20 points in Toronto. If he can give us that, it'll be a lot of help. Yeah. Basketball IQ ticking back up out there. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Come down. Yes.
Okay. And Mets 21-28. If this is your first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. Can we please stop the hot takes that want Cat gone? If anything, get rid of Yabu and give me the Moose. It's that Musa Diabate at the deadline. Well, first of all, it's not a hot take. It's not a hot take. It's not fan generated. There are reports out there that Giannis is available, and Cat may need to go in that trade if the Knicks were to make that move. So this is not like fan generated. Now, if you want to say stop wanting to move Cat, I hear you. I hear you on that. I just hope when the Knicks sit down and whatever they decide to do, they take the entire season in consideration and don't just look at the win streaks, the losing streaks. Just look at the entire landscape of this team this year, the entire landscape of the NBA, and what do we think we need, and just not get too high off of the 6-game losing streak and too low off of that 2-9 period, right? Like, just be objective, take everything into consideration when they decide what they're going to do at the
I know tomorrow, if I don't see Deuce play, I'm worried.
You think it's a trade? I haven't heard anything about Deuce in a trade.
But it just, to me, that little flip-flop of where not this game, the game before, when you put him as game time decision, then all of a sudden you go game time, he goes no playing. Then you go game time decision again, where we see the guy on the side and celebrating and jumping around. I'm starting to look like, something saying, and it may not be him. Like I say, it may be if we're advertising one of our other guys, but I don't even want to see the guys who have been playing. I don't want to see them go any place either. So, but it just may give me a little,
I mean, you could say that as we get closer to the trade deadline, that could be part of Clarkson not playing too, the defense and, not wanting him to get injured. Yabu, who's been getting a few minutes, but at least last night, no minutes as we get closer to the deadline, trying to avoid injury. I wasn't really thinking that with McBride, but
because it's just weird. Because we know behind the scenes, there's a lot of times there are deals that be on the table and they'll have framework from them, but they either may go toward them, or in or out. And then sometimes, they start sidelining guys, funny reasons or whatever it may be. They're not forthcoming. Let's just say that. The Knicks ain't going to be forthcoming with that. That just is what it is. But me as a paranoid Knicks fan, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jabroni says, Deuce ain't going nowhere. You can relax, Knick Nation. Listen, I wouldn't relax. We didn't think Randall was going anywhere. Like, I think nobody on this Knick team other than Brunson is untouchable. If for the right player. I don't think the Knicks are out there shopping anybody other than Yabu and maybe Clarkson. But for the right player, anybody can go. Anybody can go.
I mean, like this, all you gonna have me like this all day stuff to work on.
I mean, I don't think. I don't think they're out there moving Deuce. But listen, if Mikal can go, I've even heard OG, that in a Giannis trade, Milwaukee might want OG. For the right player, anybody can go. I don't think we have any untouchables on this team other than Brunson. For the right player. Okay. I hear you, East Blue. I'm not calling for it. I don't think, I didn't even think that was why he wasn't playing, but Knick Nation brings up a good point. All right. Any last words?
No, only thing I have to say is thank you for having me on. Thank you for the platform.
Of course.
Big shout out to everybody there in the chat. Love you guys for following, you know what I mean? Keep the content going. Keep, you know what I mean? We love the chat definitely in between you guys, the energy that you guys bring. especially for getting up, you know what I mean, and enjoying us early in the morning here. All love, everybody. All love. And thank you, Steph, for having me.
Thank you for hopping on. I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Shout out to Geoff. Hopefully everything is good. We'll
Yes.
be back Wednesday. The Knicks, I didn't mention in the streamer, in the banner around across the bottom, I didn't mention Washington, but we do have a game Tuesday. We do play Washington Tuesday.
Wednesday,
So we'll
right?
be back Wednesday. Is it? Excuse me?
When we have a back-to-back, I believe,
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right?
Yeah.
Tuesday
So
and
we'll be
Wednesday.
back for the game recap Wednesday at 12:30 to recap the Washington game, and then we play Denver Wednesday night. Looking forward to both of the games because I want to see how the Knicks approach. You know, you're riding high, 6-game winning streak. You know, you got Denver, Detroit, and Boston on the other side of Washington. How do they approach this Washington game? Will they handle their business or will they look ahead? It'll tell us a lot about them mentally, actually,
Yes.
how they approach this Washington game. So,
Yes.
yeah, appreciate you, Knick Nation, the chat, replay gang, silent listeners. Until next time.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope soul,
Where you at? Where you at?
dope soul.
Where you at?